Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Mind Movers. Today we have the incredible Sarita Stefani, who I am privileged to call my friend. I originally met her through Dr. Mehi, who I'm sure a lot of you know, who runs Global Dental Collective. Sarita's my favourite one. Joking, Mehi, love you. But Sarita's an absolute force, and we connected immediately when we met because everything that Sarita's about is something I really stand for within female empowerment. She is an incredible mother, an entrepreneur, and just an absolute star in her own right. So welcome, Sarita.
Hey, thank you, Rhona. That's very kind of you.
I know we had a bond when we first met. Sarita even said she was just like, Rhona's my favourite dentist. So there we go.
When did you first meet?
Was it at the... I can't remember. Maybe I think it was like a couple of years ago, no?
I think it was at your Christmas, your family Christmas party,
family
no?
Christmas. And obviously everyone was like crushing, being like, who is that like gorgeous couple, and Mehi and Sarita walked through the door. So anyways, love at first sight. We became closer than me and Mehi, so it's all good. And the rest is history.
We always start this podcast with, how did Rhona meet the guest? It's just a normal
Because he thinks I have such an array of friends. Like, he's like, how do you know this person,
Yeah, you're just a very good vibe and good energy, and people get attracted to you.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so Sarita, the first thing is that I love to start from the very beginning right now so that people that are listening know. The reason why I invited Sarita is because she runs an incredible female platform, female business for egg freezing, and I was somebody that was an early adopter of egg freezing. We had my dad on the podcast a few weeks ago talking about this because he sat me down when I was 32 and barely anyone was talking about it. He tried to have the conversation and people got really defensive. Some people even got offended by the conversation. But before we go into your business, can you tell us a little bit about who you are, what career you were doing before, and a little bit about your background?
Sure. So I am Italian. I was born and raised in Venice. I spent all my life there. Then when I was 18, I moved to Milan. I actually studied history of art. Amazing. So my background is very artisty. Then I moved to London so that everybody was making money in the finance space. So I decided, okay, that's where I have to be. And I did a master in finance, starting from scratch in English and everything. So it was quite challenging. As I haven't even completed my master at Westminster in finance, that I got a job into the biggest brokerage firm in the world. Worked there for 3 years. It was horrible, the worst time of my life, the shittest job somebody could have probably been a broker in sorry guys, but that's true, in a big brokerage firm, especially if you are a girl in a trading floor with 1,000 dudes. It was terrible. But I always say that from there, I learned how to be in an arena with lions, and fight back. So there was a very good training for me. From there, circumstancing took me to work in the healthcare space. So I started to work for many years after that into the big data for pharmaceutical companies, biotech, life science industry, which was the biggest which is the biggest love of my life. So from there, I then started Amelis. I actually did an incubator that helped me a little bit to quit my very high paid job and decided to do the founder life. And then I met my co-founder, Yasmin, on the way, and we started Amelis through our personal fertility journey.
Amazing. So there's lots to unpack there. Now, first of all, working in finance as a female, was that you said it's like working with a pack of lions. Would you say that's because of the way that you were treated, or do you think it's just because the job entailed you to come with sort of like a very masculine energy to the job?
There are some elements to it, So I was very good at my job, and it was never enough because I was one of the few girls on the trading floor. I had to fight double and make double to just even being seen against all of these guys on the trading floor. So that was very, very, that prompted me to work more, to do more and stuff. And then I became a bit more aggressive. And also I would say, when you are basically in a very male dominated environment, you start to act a bit like a guy, you start to okay, so yeah, let's go out tonight and get smashed. Okay, yeah, you go with it because you have to somehow to survive. So yeah, there were some elements to it that, you know, for survival have to do more, be there earlier and everything. But at the same time, also had to produce more than any other guy that was around me to earn their respect, because otherwise they would have walked over me
Sorry,
very easily.
and you'd imagine in these situations when you say you're good at your job, it means you make more money than the next man. So isn't that what they're looking at? How much money you're making?
Yeah, I was not even making more money than any other man because, you know, sometimes, you know, it was, I had to do double to be at the same level. So, you know, like there's something that I'm very big advocate is that also like equality at the working space is not the same also in terms of salaries.
Well, this is what I was going to say. I was just about to say the gender pay gap, which we've discussed
It's
before,
huge.
is the thing. I recently discovered that in dentistry there's gender pay gap stuff, which I thought was weird because I was like, well,
don't really believe in
associates
it.
and
I don't really believe in it.
self-employed. I don't know, it was weird. I just saw some statistics, but I think what people say is like, for example, is that less females are likely to own a practice, less females are likely to do. I'm going off the stats for the show. I'm fine. I'm a boss woman. I own my own practice.
No,
We know
I'm
that. You know that. But gender pay gap is a thing in the UK.
If it was real, we'd only hire women, wouldn't we? I mean, I've got 43 employees, 20 of them are men. Why wouldn't I just hire women if they're cheaper?
No, but it's real. Like in
So
a big
why
corporation,
don't I just hire women, only women?
in a big
they're cheaper.
corporations, they don't even display the salary. Like it's a fact. In the corporate I was working before, I was not able to disclose my salary to my colleagues because their salary was double my salary.
A lot of companies say that. A lot of companies.
No, it's like it's statistical.
You see what I'm saying? If it's true that you can pay a woman less to do the same
So
job,
he's saying, so
why
Payman was
wouldn't they-
saying, why wouldn't you just
why wouldn't
employ
they just
more
hire
women for
all
cheaper? Yeah.
Why were there so many men there? They should hire all women.
It's also statistical proven that when you present a job to a woman that has, I don't know, 50K salary per year, I'm just saying, she will accept it. A man will negotiate.
Yeah.
Like it's like statistically proven. Is I don't know.
But why do we
there's
think
in the
that
UK
is?
government. I don't know. It's just maybe something that we feel like, okay, you know, like I don't deserve more. Like something in our minds. Okay, I'm content with that. So now, you know, like I expect we are a female only team. If anybody doesn't negotiate
purpose.
with me, yeah, on purpose, yes. I'm positively, what was the word? Positive discriminating.
Yeah.
I'm doing positive discrimination and I'm guilty. Fuck it. I don't care. That's how it is.
I love her. I love
That's
her.
how it is. Also, there's an element that, you know, like for the kind of business we're doing at the top of like the team, obviously we need to hire women because they emphasize more with our mission and journey. Unless, you know, like there are very specific cases, which we haven't met yet. We haven't met yet cases of a man, or maybe they're doing transgender or some changes there that emphasize with the egg freezing and fertility mission. So it's on purpose.
Look, both of you are bosses. I'm a boss, right? And it's a sad truth of being a boss that the people who ask for pay rises
Are
get
men.
pay rises more than people who don't ask for pay rises.
I don't know, like listen to me. In my clinic, everyone asks me for a pay rise, but I also and every 5 minutes. But like
Everyone.
yeah, everyone everywhere all the time. And the problem is as well, because what I have struggled with, and unfortunately, like I think this is being a female founder, which I will talk to Sarita, which will go on to Sarita, has been one of the biggest challenges in my life. And I always thought to myself naively, being a female founder, if you assert your value and you are, you know, you don't have to go with aggressive work tactics, you can still gain respect from your colleagues and your peers. But I'm actually wrong, because also, like you said, you have on purpose with the business that you've built, you have employed a lot of amazing empowered females. In my job, I didn't do that. In my clinic, you know, in any other businesses that I've been involved with, I just kind of like had a team and I was like, oh, this is the way it is. And then I really understood the difficulties and the power dynamics. And the way that I'm spoken to is actually very different from my previous boss, who was an older man. And the things they say to me, the things they ask me, the way that they send messages is completely different
But
than
it
the
might
way they
not be
spoke to
because
him.
you're a woman.
But I think it's because, but I have also found it, and Sarita doesn't have this problem. I'd like to have your input. I want to be liked. And Yorgos said to me the other day, he said, get over it. Like, you're a boss. Like, not everyone's going to love you. Because sometimes I'm too afraid. So when people come and ask for a pay rise, I go to Prav, I'm like, they've asked. And he goes, you don't have to say yes. You know that. You don't have to say yes. But I find it a very difficult thing to assert my power. But also, have I been conditioned as a woman to be nice and liked? Which I don't think you struggle with, but it's certainly a struggle of mine.
But I'll tell you what I think about this, but also like it's a societal problem. You know, like it's not that women want to not be taken seriously or don't ask for a pay rise. It's a societal problem that we have in our mind that, okay, I get a job, it's okay enough for me. You know, like we never brought into the position for centuries now to ask for more while men do. You know, like it will take years before we overcome this. It's happening, but it will take years before we overcome this. And you know, like now, if I offer a job to somebody and then negotiate with me, I would tell her like, really, you have to negotiate with me. Like for example, Dana, that you know, like at the beginning, we were like, okay, this is it. I'm like, no, I want more equities. I want like a higher salary. I'm like, okay, yes, like you get it. You know, like just because you ask, you get it. You know, like, and it's fair. You know, it's fair. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's like we really want to. I think it's intrinsic in our societal behavior that we don't go for more. We don't ask for more. I think it's very intrinsic in how we behave right now as women. And we are set back by this. You know, like if you look at the statistic, even like at women on the top of like big corporates, it's increasing, yes, but it's still very low, the numbers compared to men. Which is, you know, like we have a lot of work to do, but that's how it is.
But I'm not sure, in my experience, I'm not sure it's a man-woman issue. We have women who ask and are very aggressive financially, and we have men who don't.
Yeah.
It's something that I think it's a character trait. And what I'm saying as a boss, you just want that problem to go away in a way somehow, yeah? So you just think, oh, am I going to lose this person?
Yeah.
All of those things come into it.
But also now there are some rules around how when you hire, I mean, maybe, you know, it's, I'm not talking in specific cases, but in a corporate, let's say, for example, at the brokerage firm I was working at, you have to, when you interview and you need new hires, you have to at least interview half women, half men. You know, like, so like now some rules are coming up to it. You need at least to interview half women, half men, and then you offer the job to the most qualified candidate. But you have to. So, you know, like, so you offer...
Trying to redress it a little bit.
They're trying to redress it.
We see this in dentistry. Women don't put themselves up as lecturers.
Here we go.
But let me talk about this because I am somebody that has lived through this within the dental arena. So I don't know if you know this. The majority of dentists are actually female. Like it's marginal difference, but I think 55% are females, right? So there's a lot more females. You look at some of the biggest institutions and academies within the dental arena and you never see women at the forefront. I spend my life challenging people and big people. And I say to them, this is great. Why don't you have a female on your panel? Why don't you have a lecturer on your panel? Why haven't you had a female president? And I ask them all the time. I always ask them. And they get a little bit miffed. I've told the story before about Christian Coachman. Didn't I tell you this?
Remind me.
Many years ago. So there was something called like the Instagram Dental Stars or something like that. And it had like some of the most prominent dentists on it. And they sent me a message saying, oh, do you want to sign up? And I said, this is really great, but you don't have it's sad that in this day and age you don't have a single female on your panel. And apparently my message got sent in the like WhatsApp group of the male panelists and they were kind of like laughing at me. Christian turned around and he said, Christian Coachman is like one of the most respected dentists in the world. He turned around and goes, I know Rhona and she's got 100% a point. And they were like, yeah, well, we might put like a female lecturer next year. He goes, no, you're going to do it now and you're going to put her on the panel with all of us. And I got it. Now, in terms of what you said, you don't ask, you don't get. So people,
No.
I asked. Do you see what I mean? I made the point. But I think that it is really challenging because people don't do enough. And you might say, well, you know, you've just got to put yourself out there. But it's the same way, like, we've got to create the opportunities. I think you make it too black and white. Like, when Black Lives Matter happened, people then really, really positively integrated Black people into so many different things, campaigns, workplaces, etc. And I think that was a really positive movement. And yes, we should shine a spotlight on those people because for so many years they weren't given opportunities. And I think that that's still to come in some elements for women across the board. That's my view.
Yeah. I mean, for sure. There's a lot of work to do. And, you know, like, again, I think I'm positive biased, like the one we have that we are like top of our executive team will be only women. And it's decided. If people hate me for this, I don't give a fuck. Yeah. Like, seriously, whatever.
Given.
Like, you know, like on your point, you know, like, you like me or don't like me, I don't care. It's okay. You know, like, we keep head up, we're going, we have very clear what's our mission. If some people get offended by talking about egg freezing, why are you getting offended? Seriously, like, why are you getting offended? Is creating option for women. It's not for you. Okay, maybe it's for the next one. Why we are closing door to people that maybe, for example, I'm talking about egg freezing in this case, or fertility preservation, or other fertility treatments, or fertility testing. Why are we closing down options to other people that is maybe is not your problem, but maybe it's a problem of somebody else? It's all about creating options nowadays.
So let's take a step back. So tell us about, I always struggle to say it, Amelis. So first tell us about the name, how you came up with the name, and I want you to tell us what the platform does.
Yes. So Amelis means Amil means mother in Elvish. And at the beginning, you know, when we were trying to come up with a name, we were trying to make an association with the word mother in different languages. And, you know, obviously in the fertility space, it was widely used. So we tried to be a little bit more creative, but also, you know, like, we wanted to add a touch of magic to it, to be more female sounding, like. So and then we came up with Amelis. And what we do is we cover the fertility preservation journey from the beginning to the end for women, from exploring your options, understanding where you are at, testing with one of our partner facility across the UK, to holding hands of women that wants to start the treatment, and then they get on board in one of our partner clinics across the country. We're building a lot of services around the egg freezing and fertility testing options. So stay tuned. We have something new that will come up that will open up the market a lot and make the treatment more affordable for women out there that wants to test, simply understand their fertility, or go through the entire treatment. And also we are doing a lot of work in the awareness space, because just, you know, with a simple 50 pounds test that you can do with one of our partner facility around the country, you can discover if you have underlying condition, and you can take very conscious decision. And you can basically, women out there, they can take empowered decision. And everything around Amelis is free for the patients. So every patient can go on Amelis, browse their options, understanding through our blogs what's the treatment, what are the costs, and so on. So everything is very transparent.
I love that.
Explain what it is exactly.
So when you go on Amelis, for example, you can book one of our one of the fertility tests, which is called AMH, that gives you an indication of where you are, you know, your ovarian reserve. There's much more to it, but it gives you essentially an idea on where you are on your ovarian reserve. It's not an indicator if you can get pregnant or not. It just gives you an idea of how long you have, essentially. Once you do the test, what you can do through Amelis is that you have 20 minutes free chats with one of our partner clinics. We partner with Leicester, Great Portland, Ewell, Aria. We are taking on board also like a new clinic in Manchester. And then we have another clinic coming on board in center of London. You can chat for free with one of their doctors. Let's say, for example, you are looking at Lister or Evewell if you want more like boutique experience. You go in the platform, you book a free consultation with a doctor or an embryologist or one of the fertility specialists that this clinic offers for free to our Amelis user. And then you chat with them. You can ask any question you want. And then from there, we onboard you. We just launched our app. You will be able to track your journey, your medication, your ovulation times, like periods, literally everything through the Amelis app. And this app was designed from women to women. My co-founder, Yasmin, is a software engineer from Imperial with great knowledge of healthcare products. So she's the one that built it. We have an in-house designer too, another woman that designed the entire app. So it's very, very, very patient-friendly, user-friendly, built from women to women. And this app is free also. So any patient, even doing treatments in other hospital or clinics, can use this app. We're launching it at the end of this month, so like this week or next week. And from there, you will also be able soon to be able to track where your eggs are frozen, if you want to use them, what you have to do, and basically like the post process of egg freezing.
But what led you to actually going to this business? Did you have fertility issues yourself, or was that the reason?
So it's an interesting question because as soon as I turned 30, I started to be a bit of heart attacks for, not joking wise, not real heart attacks, but I started to like anxiety about what I'm gonna do now. Like seriously, I don't want to have any kids soon. I'm in a long-term relationship, probably soon I was getting married. And, I go like, he's younger than me, what I'm going to do, and all of this kind of thing. So I was asking myself a lot of questions on, really, when am I actually going to have a kid? Am I going to have a kid? So I basically had this conversation with my husband now that at the time maybe we were not even engaged or something. And we decided that we should have looked at fertility preservation option. You have to consider that his father is a fertility expert. He's a gynecologist. He's a gynecologist and has a clinic in Spain. So as soon as he met me, the first meeting with my father-in-law, he was like, I think you should freeze your eggs.
Literally, that's such a Middle Eastern thing. Like Payman met my dad. My dad sat me down at 31 and was like, time to freeze the eggs. I was like, what? Like literally.
Yeah, same. He was like, he met me. It was like we were traveling a month in New Zealand, a month here, a month there. And he was like, Sarita, I think we should freeze your eggs. I'm like, why are you even talking to me about this? Seriously, like I'm 28, 29, whatever. I'm so young. I'm like, you're not that young. I'm like, whatever. And from that process to actually when I froze my eggs, I was like 32. So I froze my eggs at 32 years old, just turned 32. And that relieved a lot of anxiety from me. And consider that, again, I was like in a long-term relationship, so I was kind of like, okay, this guy for sure is going to be the father of my kid one day. And I froze my eggs. I saw that the process was unnecessarily difficult. And then even if I had a lot of support and I was surrounded by gynecologists, I was still alone injecting myself, like trying to feel like what's going on with my body. I feel bloated. Am I about to die? Am I surviving? What's going on? I feel like this, I feel like that. I'm having discharge and this. Is this normal? Is this not normal? So you basically go through the process and it's still very much unknown. Like you walk blindly into a treatment that you're like, okay, why I never knew about my fertility. And to be fair, before that moment, I didn't even know if I could have a child. I never tested my fertility. I didn't know absolutely anything. Like I could be like maybe infertile, I don't know. Maybe my window was already closed, I don't know. Because we don't talk about this. We always think, I'm healthy, I could have a child. No, it's not exactly, it doesn't really work like this. Or even my periods, like I had good periods, but actually for a period of my life, I was anorexic and I didn't have my period. So maybe that could have affected my fertility. So, there's a lot of factors that we don't really talk about it with women at schools or even, like your mom doesn't know about it. My mom is old style. Like for my mom, I could have 15 kids and we'll be fine. you know, like, so like actually my mom was like super against it. And at the end, like I walked into it, and I'm very chill about it.
Why are people against it? What's
no,
the
but
reason?
I mean, look, I want to interject there because I can completely relate, and I think like because now I'm 37, like there's a huge like kind of pressure. But I feel now I'm like. I keep thinking to myself, I'm so happy I froze my eggs, because if I have any problems now, I got such a great amount of eggs in one go. I have a lot of people, because when I came out and spoke about it 5 years ago, so many people were like, thank you so much. Lots of people found it really brave. There was like this whole stigma because it was like, oh,
what's the objection?
The objection is that people think you're going against nature, and again, it's a societal problem. The problem is that people perceive women as baby making machines. Think of Handmaid's Tale if you've never seen it. You know the irony. You know, we're here to produce. We're put on this earth to produce, and we're given like a fertility window. Now, realistically, you know, having spoken to my father growing up, of course, women do have a window for fertility, and really sadly, I've even met women that said to me, I wish I froze my eggs because I got menopause at 33. It's really rare, but it can happen. Yeah. And then she had like one egg, and luckily she got pregnant with that, okay? But she went through a horrific period, and she could only have that one child. And
super anxious.
Yeah,
about that.
And these things happen. And I think the reality is that there is a little bit of a disconnect. And I think the disconnect is that where we are mentally in our minds to have a children is so different from where our bodies are physically, right? Because you have to think that even cavemen times or Victorian times, people having children at like 15, right? You get your period at like 11, 12, and then you're expected to like push out children. Now women are like really wanting to invest in their career, who they are, before they can provide for a child. And I think that the economic situation and the environment that we live in demands so much more for us to bring up a child. Like, you want to give your child a good life. Like, you know how expensive children are, you know, you've got your own. So I think that there's like that disconnect. But I think ultimately a lot of people say, especially the old school women, well, you left it this long, so it's your fault. You left it this, you made the choice to leave it this long. You didn't pick a husband.
Don't follow your career, don't delay,
exactly. You chose not to marry that person, you chose not to have this, etc., not recognizing that there are so many other factors, because now having a child isn't just about being fertile, it's about your socio-economic status, it's about, you know, the ability to give it emotionally a love, to be yourself, like the best version of who you are, you know. And like, we don't talk about other issues, like women suffer from prenatal depression, postnatal depression, like there's so many other things, you know. We had Amy on this podcast. She suffered from hyper something gravitarum, and basically she almost, and some women terminate the child because they get a type of sickness way worse than morning sickness the whole way through the pregnancy. So she lost, I don't know, like 10 kilos, and she's already tiny because she was vomiting from start to finish, but the baby still gets all the nutrients. And apparently she was in hospital the whole pregnancy, the whole 9 months. And some women have to terminate because it gets that bad, and because some of them even like so depleted from their own stuff. So there's a lot of things around it that I think that have so many stigmas. We expect women to just be okay, and I think the fact that we're not having conversations about the complexity around fertility makes things much harder.
Yeah, and also I tell you that this is like from our statistics, women that use Amelis, 80% of our patients users are single. So it's not even you just want to delay motherhood for career purposes or stuff. Like, you just haven't met the partner that you want to have a child from, you know, like, so. And I was recently looking at some stats, data on medical studies. Like the highest number of women that were single when they froze their eggs. So, you know, like, you do it just to give yourself some option, maybe in the future if you met your partner, to be able to become a parent. But also, like, in terms of fertility, we always talk about the woman, but 50% of the equation is also the man. And, you know, like, it's, I was looking at another study, the sperm quality has declined of 50% in the past 50 years.
My dad gave us a statistic that, you know, after the millions of sperm that get ejected, remember, 4% are only good for quality, where they, like, you know, the tail and the head and everything is all like fine. It's only 4%. I was blown away, you know,
but
by that.
Statistically, is it half and half?
No, what she means, she's saying there's another person.
I know statistically, what is it?
Like, she said, like, the fertility issues.
Fertility issues are 50-50. Yeah, it's like always like there's a 50% male in the equation.
No, I know that, but are most of the issues due to the man or the woman?
50% of IVF cases fail because of the men. So it's like So we can say it's 50-50, essentially. So it's like we have to look at, like, now they started to look at the sperm quality, mobility, numbers, etc., etc. But before it was just perception that the woman was infertile, because
does analysts have a male section as well?
Not yet. We will. But
I think that needs to be talked about, because in the same way that society blames the woman, I think that also for men they can find it really like demasculating to be like, it's my sperm that's the issue. And I think that conversation, look, don't give me that scowl look, like, listen, like,
some of the conversations that you say are a problem, I just can't believe are a problem.
Yeah, they are, of course.
Like,
do you think lots of men do you think men will be okay with you being like, it's your problem? I don't. A lot of men will have an issue with that, or wouldn't even want to get tested.
Yeah, but there is a lot of men don't want to address that, and they don't want to get tested. And also we've seen that usually if the man gets tested is because of the woman pushing the man to test.
Yeah, but maybe he doesn't want kids. Maybe that's what it's like.
No, you're making it black and white again.
We argue a lot. It's like, it's personal reason, but at the end of the day, like 50% of the equation is the man. Of people going for IVF treatment, and 1 in 6 couples has fertility problems for the man or the woman. 1 in 6, so it's a big number.
So of the people who go for IVF treatment, what percentage of them are successful in having a kid?
It really depends.
Is it low, or is it?
It depends on the age of both of the couples. It depends from a lot of factors. I can tell you that regarding egg freezing, the success rate is widely dependent on the age of the woman. So like egg freezing is just the woman freezing their eggs. So we have built actually in Amelis a fertility calculator for the woman. And for example, like if we take Kourtney Kardashian, she froze her eggs at 39 and she had 7 eggs.
Can I just interject then? This is what I always say. I froze my eggs at 32 and I got 19 healthy eggs in one go.
Got 18.
When my friend, exactly, so look, and our age was then, when my friends freeze at 38, 39, bumped into someone the other day, dentist, she's 38, and she said to me, I just froze my eggs because it was horrific and I only got 6 eggs. So the sooner you do it, the better. The quality and the quantity is better when you do it younger. Sad truth, but
tell me about the actual process, the treatment.
Well, let Sarita just finish
her
story.
Yeah. So, like, if we build this in Amelis, you find this calculator that we built based on historical data from one of the clinic we work with. So, like, this is like backed by 1,000 cycles, even more than 1,000 cycles of egg freezing. So, like, if, for example, Kourtney Kardashian, as mentioned, she froze her eggs at 39 and she got 7 eggs. And she was not able to have a live birth out of her eggs, unfortunately.
So Kourtney Kardashian froze her eggs at 39, but she didn't end up using her frozen eggs. It wasn't successful. Did it have anything to do with her age?
Yes, it did. Her chances of success were 29%. If she had frozen her eggs at 32 years old, her chances of success were 60%. At 30 years old, 80%. Yeah. So age is a massive factor for live birth.
How do you know about Kourtney Kardashian's numbers of eggs?
Well, I think I think their website does have a fertility calculator. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the fertility calculator and how you created it?
Yes. So we created this fertility calculator based on thousands of cycles with one of our partner clinic. So based on the age, you should freeze a minimum of 15 eggs, for example. On average, women freeze 9.5 eggs, which is not enough to have a successful live birth, depending on your age.
Okay, so let's talk about this, right? Because even my dad said to me, he was like, if you're not going to have children soon, we need to do another cycle. And I was like, listen, we don't need to do another cycle. So with my 19 eggs, in theory, how many rounds could I have?
No, you have a live birth out of your eggs at 32 for sure.
Yeah?
You have like 80% chance.
So now let's say I have problems. Let's just say like
is there a use by date? Like, do they...
Hilarious. Did you hear that? Is there an expiry date on the eggs?
You can store them for 55
I have to
years
pay
old.
storage.
55 years.
I have to pay storage just by, like every year. But my question for you is this. So if now, let's say I have a problem conceiving, which could happen, it's the reality, I'm 37, and I decide to use the eggs, what would be like the chances? I know you're saying you'll definitely get alive, but what would the statistics show? Like how many eggs should be stored to ensure that you have a good chance of one live birth?
With at 32, with 19 eggs, you have 95% chance of a live birth. If you want 2 kids, 81% chance of having 2 kids, 2 live births.
Okay.
So if you're 32 and you have only 5 eggs, you will still have 50% chance of success based on our fertility calculator.
Okay.
Which is show the biggest impact on age when you go and freeze your eggs.
So my other question for you is there a difference in quality?
Of course, when you're younger, the quality of the egg is higher. When you get over 35, the quality deteriorates.
So I think also what I find quite difficult is also, and again, I'm making a judgment, that a lot of women struggle with the concept of freezing their eggs at like 30 because they're like, I'm going to meet someone in the next 5 years. Of course I'm going to meet someone. Yeah. And they almost don't want to put a like stigma on themselves. Do you know what I mean? And then they reach 38 and they're like, I still haven't met that person. And then that's when it becomes more challenging. And then it pushes them to freeze. And it's almost like it's not too late because some people do it and they're fine. But your chances, it's an insurance policy, and your chances of getting healthier eggs and a better quantity and quality is better when you're younger.
Yeah, that's for sure. Like age is a big factor. You have to consider another thing. We talk about before a lot about the stress of freezing the eggs and the journey that it can feel quite lonely.
I hated it. I was so sick afterwards.
Here we go. For me, it was the same, actually. I didn't feel too sick during the journey, but afterwards, it was not cool. Like, I was not feeling fantastic. You know, like, it was like more the week after, I was like very heavy, very tired, bloated. It was not fun at all. But, you know, still, it could obviously, you know.
Yeah, so I, like you, was already in a committed relationship, but I was very focused on my career, and I was just felt that I wasn't ready. Went on the recommendation of my dad. I found it very empowering going for the scans and looking at my hormones. My AMH was 12, so I was like on the very low end of healthy, so not like awful, because I've met friends of mine. Today I bumped into a friend of mine that's been doing IVF for like 3 years, and her AMH is like 0.7 or something, so it's super, super low. And we looked at like the different sides of the ovaries, etc. And I found it really empowering knowing my numbers, because I just feel like you've got the knowledge to know where you're
100%.
Then, like you, I had to do the injections, work in between, found it fine. I'm a fairly healthy person. The day they took the eggs, fine. And then the next day, like the symptoms started coming up. I was really emotional. I put on 8 kilos. Can you believe it? Really?
Wow.
Afterwards, I don't know what, and my stomach was like this. Like, can you imagine? And like going from having like a flat stomach, it was really like, it really damaged my mental health as well, the way that I looked and felt, etc. And then I actually caught COVID 2 weeks later. So all of those symptoms made me feel a lot worse. It's not for the lighthearted. It's not like, hey, I'm just going to go and like freeze my eggs. Like, I think you've got to consider all these factors.
How much does it cost?
Well, exactly. And another thing that I want to say is that cost, it's a big factor affecting also this anxiousness that you have, because the treatment is not cheap. One cycle in London is between £5,500 to £6,000. One cycle. Considering, again, depending on your age, you need a number of eggs depending on your age to be sure that you will have a live birth, right? So you maybe have to do multiple cycles depending on your AMH level, your age, and so on. So, you know, like, it's really a game of doing it many times and getting as many eggs as you can to be sure that you have a live birth. But it can go up to £10,000, £12,000 if you have multiple cycles.
So imagine how many cycles you've got to do. So one thing I'm going to say is there's a little bit of criticism. There's an incredible doctor influencer. I think she's got 1 million followers. She's amazing. And she basically did a 1-year memory reel about her egg freezing, which she did. And then she had to like put all of these warnings on there to be like, I know that I'm in a place of extreme privilege, because what I was seeing is that people were trolling her to be like, this is an extremely privileged thing to do, to freeze your eggs. And, you know, she obviously recognizes that. Now, does Amylase help women that feel that they can't afford it? What financial support do you provide? What have you got to say for people that are like, I can barely feed myself, let alone freeze my eggs? My sister definitely couldn't afford it. The only reason she could do it is because of my dad.
Wonderful point. So we are launching something, like I'm not gonna do a spoiler alert because this is happening in the next quarter. We work very hard to make sure that we open up the market with a possibility for women to pay their treatment. So we're gonna really like be the game changers in this space, because we're gonna offer this option that nobody does out there, and we're gonna make the treatment affordable for women that can't pay £5,500. So this is coming. Something else that we do today is go out there. Like, if clinics, unfortunately, you know, like they have to charge for a bit more for their scan and their test, and they have a fertility package. If you have a fertility test with us, for example, you gotta pay 50 quid. 50 quid is pretty accessible. And this is part of our mission to make even the testing affordable. So that's a big mission that we have.
And just to interject, Payman, just so you don't know, the testing itself could cost a few £100 alone.
Yeah, could cost like £250. And something else that we do is get to speak with one of our specialists at the clinics if this egg freezing is at the top of your mind or at the back of your mind. And you know, like these people, they offer their time also for free because they want to raise awareness out there. So that's something that our mission to make the treatment more affordable. But yeah, something that I spent a lot of money at the beginning of my journey was understanding which clinic I wanted to go to, which is something that, you know, like also why we built Amelis, to give the possibility to women to get to speak to two different clinics, for example, and understand, okay, I have more connection with this doctor. I want to do this treatment with this doctor rather than this other doctor. And, you know, like this is like, all the clinics in London that are approved by the HFEA, they're wonderful clinic. It's just a matter of feelings of like, okay, I like more doctor this rather than doctor that because I feel more comfortable. And it's fair, you know, like, or I don't know, I'm Italian, for example, and I was very stuck in my mind that I wanted a Spanish doctor.
Yeah.
You know, so I was looking around and like, okay, do you have a Spanish doctor that I can freeze my woman Spanish doctor that I can freeze my eggs with? And I know I was speaking with an English person or whatever, no offense, but I was like, okay, I want a Spanish doctor. So I was going around and, you know, like shop around clinics, but every time you spend £250, £300, and I spend like thousands just trying to find my doctor. And for Amelis, you can find your doctor for free.
So essentially, it's a platform that helps educate, connect, and just helps make the process much easier, which I think is absolutely like pivotal, because a lot of people find it really challenging.
I think all of healthcare is difficult, more difficult than we realise.
It must be difficult.
And
people think the NHS is so accessible. It's so not.
Well, as I say, we've got friends who are doctors left, right and centre. I mean, you know, we in dental school, and, you know, family member was having an operation. I had access to doctors in that field, right at the top of that field, and yet there were times where you felt in the dark, you didn't know what complication was going on or whatever. So in this situation where it's so emotive as well, you can imagine how it's so necessary.
I mean, the HFEA, which is the regulatory entity in this country for fertility clinics and the fertility space, they recently published numbers saying that the very few couples qualify, few heterosexual couple and same-sex couple qualify for NHS funding to go through fertility treatments. And I think the rate of accessibility from the NHS dropped minus 17% in England, 36% in Wales, and like -1 in Scotland. So, you know, like accessibility to fertility treatment for the NHS dropped drastically, but fertility treatment increasing, which means like that people are going above and beyond to try to find money to become parents. And this is number from the regulatory entity of the fertility space.
Tell us a little bit more about the entrepreneur journey for you.
Yeah,
because I remember the first time we met in Edinburgh, you were just in the incubator. You just started in the incubator.
Yeah, we really want to know, because I actually was going to ask you, Sarita, I'm going to ask you now live in front of like our 10,000 listeners, whatever it is. Am I allowed to come and spend the day at work with you because I want to come and learn from you, like genuinely?
Of course.
Because I find, you know, one thing Sarita said to me, like she supported me from day one, and she was like, I'll never support businesses that actually like get rid of women or treat women badly, and she's been like a huge kind of like cheerleader and support for me in the background of things, and I find it really inspiring the way she's done this. And I think a lot of people would like to know, like, first of all, like leaving a corporate job, starting on your own, fundraising, etc. So tell us a bit about that.
So I was in the incubator when you met me, and that really helped me to quit my job, because, you know, like, I mean,
what is an incubator?
It's
Startup incubator.
Explain, what does it mean?
They help you coming up with an MVP. You meet a minimal viable
Like, how
product.
do you find an incubator?
There
Like,
are
from the beginning.
incubators.
So what, you just Google it?
There are few around London.
Yeah,
yes.
fine.
Y Combinator is the most famous one.
Okay, fine.
Loads of
Like,
companies came in.
for example, Entrepreneur First is an incubator, and they're very big in the healthcare space. For example, they have a lot of doctors, dentists that build like companies through Entrepreneurs First. The one I did was not this one, was another one. But basically, they help you having an idea on what you need to build a startup, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, they help you with connection. You can meet your co-founder there if you want, if you don't have, for example, like a network of founders around you. And they tell you, okay, pick somebody that has complementary skills to you, and all these kind of things. Essentially, they help you like understanding a business model, what investors are looking for, building a pitch deck that, you know, it's appealing to investors. So all of these sort of kind of things. So I finished it. I finished the incubator, and then from there, you know, like I was still trying to understand which direction to take with the company, because at the beginning it was like fertility broad, and I was alone because I didn't meet my co-founder during this process. So then I did a bit of research, and a friend name dropped Yasmin, my actual co-founder. So like I wrote to her, she helped me like build an MVP. And then actually at the beginning, also the beginning of the journey, I was partnering with somebody else. Unfortunately, you know, like our direction were a bit we were taking a bit different directions. So I departed from him. Obviously, we're still in good term. And then I got into more working with Yasmin full time. She quit her job, and now we are obviously co-founders.
MVP, minimum viable product.
Minimum viable product, yes. So we had, Yasmin built our minimum viable product, which means, you know, like that women were able to go into like sort of a platform, booking their chat with the doctors and everything, you know, like just to validate our concept and idea. And then obviously like today we're way bigger than that. But at the beginning, you know, like it was just to see if actually there was a need in the market, a minimum viable product, to see if people were booking through it and the clinic were using it. So there was like, it's a very important process before you build a product and you pool resources. You see if you have traction in the market, which is like the base of building a startup essentially. So after that, we decided that we needed funding for marketing, be out there more, you know, like you can't just do everything. So we needed also like to hire some people, a marketing person and so on. So we went out there and did fundraising. And I actually was pregnant during fundraising. So I got pregnant, and it was December that I got pregnant. And in January, we started conversation for fundraising. So in March, it was official actually that, you know, like March, it was official that I was pregnant. And, you know, like I started sharing it with the team and everybody. And at the beginning, I was not telling an investor that I was pregnant because I was scared. I was scared that somebody would be like judged, or, you know, like that somebody could be like, oh, this woman is gonna have, and I'm quoting one investor, this woman is gonna have Amelita as a hobby rather than a company, because now she's gonna have a baby. And I received this comment, you know, like, so this is like,
see, these things happen.
Real comment I received from an investor, like, Amelita, like, you make sure you send.
Okay, Rhona, be honest. Yeah. If a receptionist, practice manager job was going at your practice, and someone came and said, "I want the job, but I'm pregnant,"
I would support.
Have
you seen my practice? Have you seen my practice?
It would affect you.
No, but listen, have you seen my? I don't even think about it, Payman, because all of my, you know, first of all, my team, which by the way, I've had TV channels approach me for this, absolutely love the diversity in my team. I have had diversity because I do not discriminate.
If you knew you were going to hire someone who was going to be away very soon, that's kind of what the investor's saying, isn't it, in a way? I hear you.
I actually will hire her just because.
Do you take money from men or only from women?
Like, I actually
will
take
money from men, Dad.
I say, like, pregnant women out there, you can come to Amelie's and I will hire you.
Yeah, and I'll hire you too at Chelsea Dental. Don't apply to Enlighten. No, I'm joking.
Like, I will hire you. But, that's the reality. This is, also the UK government pays you for the salary that a pregnant woman is out. So, this country is not bad for pregnancy and stuff. They don't pay you probably so much, but a company receive incentive from the UK government when a woman is out for pregnancy. And ultimately, pregnant women are doing a favor to the humanity to keep the humanity going, because we're becoming infertile.
Which is a crisis now.
But can I ask, so that's a good point actually. Isn't it becoming a crisis now because less women are having children? And do you think that's because of choice? And but surely this is just a problem in the Western world, right? Because I'm assuming places like India and Africa, people are still having lots of children, no?
Well, average age of women having kids is increasing every day. In the Western world, is 31 years old for a woman and also 30 for a man. So it's not like
that's still young, in my opinion.
Because the average age is going up, fewer people are having as many children.
Oh, I see.
And so for that reason, there's
also cost of living, societal pressures, all there's.
But there's it's really interesting because I'm seeing more and more women and really strong, powerful, beautiful women. One I'm thinking of she's stunning, so what you think is stunning, this beautiful. She's this Russian influencer, and she basically came out there and her TikTok was I don't want to have kids and I've never wanted to have kids, and she's actually an only child. And she talks about the fact that she doesn't want children. And the comments are some of the comments are oh, save this video so that you're crying yourself to bed when you're 39 years old and your life has no purpose. But what's most perplexing about it, just wait for it, is that other women, especially the women that have children, troll her, being I have 3 children, it's my whole purpose in life. And I'm that's great, but not everybody wants to follow the same journey. But again, people don't give space. And then there were other women that were jumping in and saying, I'm 45, I decided not to have them in my 30s and I've never regretted the decision. Does that make sense? And I think it's interesting how also more and more women are saying, just because I can have children doesn't mean I want to.
No, but also going back to the point, so would you rather not hire somebody that is super qualified, that be out of work for 6 months, and hire somebody else than
average
that is, I don't know, less qualified or average, that will go above and beyond doing the job? It's just
that when you're hiring someone, you need someone at that point when you're hiring someone.
It's okay. You can find a replacement for 6 months. There are a lot of people out there that can find a replacement for 6 months. It'll be a bit more costly, but you will make a huge impact on the society.
You just said you're not going to hire men.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna hire a man. I'm gonna hire a man.
You take money from a man, as he said.
I'm gonna hire a man at a certain point, not in the executive team. 100%, not in the executive team.
What if they're super qualified for the job?
Well, I haven't met any yet also that that knows the process of egg freezing yet. We have on the board doctors, gynecologists, there are men.
She spoke to my dad before.
So, yes, we have doctors that are male, but that's a different kind of doctors. Yeah, there's a different kind of if a doctor, I will hire a male doctor. We haven't received any application yet. But, in terms of business-wise, a head of marketing or a CMO, no chances we're going to hire a man. But because also there's an emphasis on women and so on. So it's the face of Amelie's head of marketing. It does make a lot of sense that is a woman. So, we're doing positive bias on this for sure. We're going to hire a man, but maybe for other job. Maybe as in the finance department, when we build one for sure. We have a lot of men as a gynecologist in the board. Yes.
Tell us about the business model. So you take the money from the clinic.
Yes. We charge clinics. It's we just basically charge clinics because for the patients the process is all free.
And where are you at as far as funding, runway, profitability?
So like I was mentioning, sorry, I didn't finish my conversation on the fundraise. So we did the fundraise while I was pregnant. At the end of the day, we had this, our lead investor is Ascension, is a venture capital firm that I really like, and they are great supporters. Also, like when I actually met them when I was pregnant, and they couldn't give a less fuck that I was pregnant. You know, like the guy that like all the team believed, like they didn't even notice. You know, like, and that's how it should be. You know, like we should normalize this. You know, like it's gonna like eventually a woman has the possibility, maybe, of course, to carry a child. We know it. That's it. It's 50% of the population. Let's just go through it. You know, like it's like how it is. It's how it is. And so they are our lead investor, and the rest of the investment we received, which was in total our pre-seed round 650,000, they were angels, friends, and family. And our board of investors is voluntarily 50% women, 50% men. And we fought I really fought very high for it, because I wanted to have women on as in the investment team. Now we're raising a seed round, and we're raising in region to 4 to 5 million. This will be for expansion, geographical expansion out of the UK, and this will also be to be able to implement new features. For example, the one that we're launching to integrate with our platform, the tech team, and so on. So it will be a lot of other services we're going to use to make the treatment more widespread, and fertility testing also more accessible.
Do you think your finance background helped you run a business? Because that's what I hear, you know, and I think like a lot of dentists recently have been going into like the more entrepreneurial space, not talking about running practices per se, but you know, doing things that are different. Like more and more people are doing things like The Apprentice, like, do you know what I mean? They want to be doing like these different things, but I actually think that sometimes they're totally lost on what to do, because dentistry is like, running a practice is very different from like having a startup, I think. And I hear a lot of your like finance brain kind of like really helping you, and I'm sure that you're one of the strongest on your team at, you know, doing all the investment, raising, etc. side of things.
Yeah, I'm currently the chief executive office in Amelis. So I do all the commercial side, fundraising, numbers and stuff, even though I hate numbers. Like it's not really, but I'm very quick in assessing things, you know.
Yeah,
so
it's like Yorgos, I'm sure, because of like the background.
It's natural, you know, like it comes, you know, like if you give me something, I just look at it and I know what we have to do. I want to do it, it's boring. I don't like it, but I know what to do, you know, like, so that's how it is. And Yasmin does all the product and technical bits, coding, all that sort of things.
Yeah, fine. So is she a developer?
She's a developer.
In that pre-seed round, how many people did you have to see before someone made an investment?
We received like maybe 200 rejections from a venture capital. Yeah, from VCs and then individuals, similar. So you have to be very strong. I mean, like, I'm like, okay. Like, I remember one day, like in the busy times, we were having like 8 calls per day with investors, and you are back to back, repeating the same thing, and you have to be convincing and all of that. And, you know, like, you know immediately who's going to invest or not. You know, like, it's just, you know it, because, you know, like somebody that shows an interest, they will follow up very quickly. And even, you know, like when we received the offer from Ascension, they didn't take so much time to invest. You know, like they saw potential, you know, like pre-seed, you know, we are just at the beginning. Yeah. Right. So you see, okay, there are 2 badass women co-founders, you know, one is going to do the commercial, the other is technical. They both have experience. I work in the healthcare space now in the big data for a long time. So she knows what she's doing. The other one work in the healthcare space, building product for patients. She knows what she's doing. Somewhere the company is going to go.
And are you, even at that point, are you selling the $1 billion global domination?
100%.
So as big a plan as you can, right?
Yeah. So basically, one thing that I like, one piece of feedback that I received from a great investor in a big VC, she said, you know, when you present your market, like SOM, SAMTAM, and all of these kind of things, when you present your slide with how big is the market, I want to see a huge number there. Like huge. Like do everything you have to do to make that number so huge that I'm like, I look at it and I'm like, whoa, I have to invest in this space. Maybe it's not even the company, but like this space is so big.
So did you find that you had to pivot a few times before you got to the sort of the final product?
100%. I actually had to calculate how big was the market.
How big is it?
377 billions. By myself.
In order to make that pitch, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like 300 fertility space.
This is why I want to spend the day with her at work. Come to work with Sarita. Go on.
Like I look at studies looking at how much time women waste. I mean, like they take out of work and how much it costs for a company to go and do the fertility checkup, gynecologist visit, IVF treatment, fertility treatments, and so on. How much that burden in the society and for the corporates out there. So I had to calculate that manually because I found all the numbers, and then you have to apply globally and all of that, those kind of things to see, it's huge, the number, like the cost that I'm like, I don't know, I'm going to a gynecologist appointment, so I'm wasting like 4 hours of my time and I take 4 hours out of work for my company. That's a huge loss.
And there must be a competitor.
Yeah, so we have, of course, we have some competitors.
Which is good.
Are they based here?
Yes, they are based here. There are some companies that we look at. For example, they have an amazing branding and we respect their mission. Nobody that is really focused only on egg freezing. They are more like or testing or fertility treatments or IVF or, financing, all of that. But there are some companies that we look at very much for what they're doing in the fertility space. Ultimately, we look up at everybody, to be fair, because, competition is always healthy to have, keeps you on the toes and push you. But yeah, I think like we're quite unique in our message and the way we carry things.
And your proposition to the clinic, is that based on like a exclusive relationship that you...
So at the moment we have, of course, we have contracts with the clinics. It's most likely they work with clinics that we partner with. They work with other apps, for example, or they work with other employment benefit platform that offer fertility. So they work with other bits and pieces, but it's still like in the big fertility space rather than just on egg freezing. We are very specific on that, and I do believe that we are the only one around. They're very open, to be honest, clinics.
So who's the person who's actually going into the Portland and saying...
Sarita.
Me.
Is that you yourself?
Myself, yeah.
So how do you know who to contact? And
she's amazing. She's literally like got her big black book. We asked her.
I have a big black book. I have a big black book.
Of VCs, literally.
No, but I'm saying with the clinics.
With the clinics.
Yeah.
that's
my blue book.
No, yeah.
No, I'm joking. But yes, basically, we don't. So look, also part of our proposition is that we reduce the decision fatigue for women to go to, like, we don't have all the clinics in London. We have few that we partner with, and they're the one that wants to improve their communication with the patients, that they want to do a bit of different things. The other day, Dana, our head of marketing, and another person that works in the social media, they went to a clinic and they recorded a bit of content, and the doctors are happy about it. Some clinics, they don't want to do this kind of work.
Like I think the fertility academy that I did with my dad.
Something similar to
I'm a social media queen. I mean, I could do it full time. But the thing is like with the fertility academy, with my dad, like they're so not into that. Like Gorgi is like a very old school doctor, and like a few people messaged me and were like, "Where did you get it done?" Because obviously I had a YouTube video which did really well because I talked about the whole process. And then I was like, listen, I was like, Gorgi does not have like the bedside manner that you might want. Like he's a like very scientific doctor. His results are very good with the egg freezing, but like you're going there. Like, and some people, they said they want the compassion, they want the like empathy, they want, it's like dentists, right? You could go to the best technical dentist, but you're like, if you want to get pandered to on the bedside or like, really have those conversations, you're not going to get that. Do you see? I mean, I think different clinics are there for different reasons,
Yeah, like the clinics that we work with, they're the one that wants to, they also understand that demographic is changing, right? Women like at my age, I'm now 35, but when I did it, I was 32. Women on their 30s, or even millennials now, they walk in and they're in their 20s.
Imagine like 25, 27.
They will check out.
Based on the stats, that's the right,
Yeah.
that's the right thing to do, right?
Yeah, you know, like, so even like at this age, what you do is like you check a clinic on Instagram, on TikTok.
Yeah.
If you don't have a present there, almost you don't exist for some demographics, you know.
Some Google, like, you know.
Some Google, you know, but Google reviews also like are completely out of it.
How are you getting to the users, the ladies? How are you getting to them?
So our traffic is mainly organic, meaning that a woman uses and then she tells all of her friends and all of her friends come. Or
So
we
they're
do like
doing
a
word
lot
of mouth at the moment.
more word of mouth. We do a lot of events as well.
ads?
You know, interesting.
I don't do ads.
We tried ads in November for a month, and we didn't get the result we wanted to. We get some traction, but we didn't get the result we wanted to. We have, you know, like women ambassador, for example.
Wasn't I meant to be an ambassador?
Yeah, you should be one of our ambassadors.
I'm being serious.
Yeah. You know, like we actually had a friend of mine, Sophie, that recorded her fertility.
She was made in Chelsea.
Sophie that did made in Chelsea. You know, like we were talking about one day, she was like, I want to freeze my eggs. I'm like, okay, I'll help you if you want, you know, like I'm with families. So we talk about it. And then, you know, like I said, she told me like, oh, I have this clinic in my mind that I would like to go to. I'm like, look, let me have a chat with them. Let's see if they're up to also being recorded. Again, you mentioned some clinics, they don't want to be part of this, you know, which is okay. It's fair, you know, but some others, they see an opportunity of like, reaching a new demographic, you know.
Is it going through the roof right now?
Yes, it's egg freezing as a
But my dad was talking about this 15 years ago. This is what I'm trying to say. And there was such a stigma. My dad was like, egg freezing is going to be massive. Like, my dad has always been like very visionary in that sense. And now if you go on Instagram, people are talking about, Vicky Patterson was talking about it. She's got 2 million followers. Sophie, as you said, was talking about it. The doctor, there's so many people.
But from Sarita's point of view, in terms of product market fit, like if she was doing the app now at the time that your dad was mentioning it,
it was a bit early.
It wouldn't have worked.
a bit early.
Too early.
It was early. It was early, and you know, like there's a time for it.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
If you look at what the HFEA stats said, in 2021, we had the 4,200 cycle, which was a 64% increase of 2 years before.
Oh my goodness.
And this is out of the pocket, right? So
that's
60.
That's the one you want to put into your pitch deck.
I know. You know, like it's a 64% increase, and meaning that this treatment is paid out of the pocket, right? Because we discuss about the NHS and stuff, unless unfortunately also like you have cancer, they do not cover egg freezing.
Yeah.
So this is like women that are out of the pocket pay for their treatments.
This has all been so fascinating. I feel like I've learned so much, and I think this is going to be such a big help because I get messages on a weekly basis about egg freezing, and now I can just refer them to this chat. Thank you so much, Sarita. I've enjoyed every moment of it, and I think it's been one of our more different chats, right? As in, like it's been like
Can we talk about Mehi a bit?
Huh?
Can we talk about Mehi?
Oh, do you want to talk about your husband a little bit?
Yeah, I'm happy to talk about my husband.
We don't have long, but go on.
Tell us about Mehi's Global Dental Collective.
So my husband Mehi is doing a wonderful job creating a Global Dental Collective, which is a community that is supporting dentists across the world, talking about different things. For example, now he has an event coming up in April.
With my therapist.
With Rhona's therapist, that is on mental health. So talking about resilience, talking about how you address stress, and you know, when you have a difficult case, a difficult patient, do you show your vulnerability to patients or not? So, you know, like, or to your team. So it's going into the deep root of, you know, the profession that I'm sure you know better than me, guys, but he's raising some important question that, you know, like to support dentists that will participate, for example. And he's bringing up psychotherapists.
Yeah, so Ella's a psychotherapist. She's actually been on our podcast as well.
Yeah, here we go. So he's bringing Ella to answer some question and address how you should basically, for example, be vulnerable in front of your patient. How much can you share? I'm pretty sure, I always say that, I think the job that you do, guys, when a patient is out there and they just open their mouth, there's a lot of energy coming out. And, there's so much energy you can take per day. So, I feel like that, you have to become also almost psychotherapist yourself to address patients all the time.
Well, the reason why Payman and I started this podcast was exactly for that reason, because we recognize that dentists and dentistry is such a demanding job, and that the energies that we have to take on a daily basis within the profession is a lot. And I think that we really undervalue ourselves sometimes, because we are in that room, you're not in an office environment, you're literally in the room with 3 people most at one time, and that's intense every single day. And when you're ill, when you can't be bothered to talk, you still have to talk, you still have to give to the patient, you still have to be on your A game. So I think that's really important, and the mission that he has with Global Collective is amazing. So I'm looking. But
also, part of his mission, Mehi at the end of the day is an artist, he's a creative,
like me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's reshaping how things are done, even for events and conferences. How you present the content. There's a lot of work that also I can see. Look, in the fertility space, there was so little advancement in terms of how to do things in a more patient-friendly way or so on, or even in this case, dentistry-friendly way. And, reshaping a bit the discussion in the industry. I think it's a very important topic that he's bringing up in the way he's doing things, in a theatrical way, in more three-dimensional way. Experience is very important nowadays, how the perception, when you walk in a space.
Yeah, I was just about to say space, because that's why my sister redesigned my whole clinic. I can't wait for you to come in.
I just saw the windows.
And my sister said to me, interestingly, that the space, she said the medical space is horrible. She says every time she's experienced a dental or medical space, it has been so disconnected for the patient. And she has said that even when dentists try to do Uber Lux clinics, she's it still doesn't feel good. And she said that when she went for her fertility, her egg freezing, they actually had to stop the first time. She had a very traumatic experience because they couldn't sedate her properly. And she said that everything was so cold, the medical chair, the room. And she said that if that had failed, the sedation, and she was in an environment where she felt safe, the doctors and nurses made her feel safe, but it was just the space, she would have felt a lot better. And now when people come into my dental clinic, because of the space that she's built with she's, created the space of almost the human body, being in kind of sync, and the different textures and everything. Exactly. People come in and they're like, I feel so calm. Imagine saying that when you come to a dental practice. That's literally what every patient said.
You've been to hospital, but visiting someone, even the most private hospital, on
it feels horrible.
It's still a horrible experience.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's been lovely to have you.
Yeah,
I always
you, Sarita.
keep up with what's going on in your business every time I talk to Mehi. But he's definitely the way he said it to me is, with Sarita, 1 + 1 = 7.
I know, she's a force.
You can see that.
Yeah, you've been amazing. Thank you, Sarita.
Really
Thank you.
luck
And
with
if anyone does want to have a look at the website or your social media channels, could you please spell it out for them?
Yeah, so it's Amilis, AMILIS.co.uk.
Perfect. And then the Instagram handle is just Amilis?
Amilis Fertility.
Perfect. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Take care.